Welcome back to Greatest Media Teams coverage, the final round, lead card, back 9 of the Cold Hollow Classic. Stop number 10 on the Disc Golf Vermont Tour. It's Angus Barstow in the booth, and I'm here with the mastermind of Greatest Media Team, Raivis. How you doing today, man?
Pleasure to be here. Thank you, Angus, and happy to be back in Vermont and ready for some more disc golf.
Yeah, we're at Cold Hollow. This is the start of the back 9. A lot of variety on the back 9. We got some open shots that you're seeing a drive on now, a lot of really technical woods, and right up there with maybe, well, I guess behind hole 9, the hardest par 3 on the course. We'll see if anybody can get that today. It's definitely an elusive birdie, but we'll see a huge variety of shots.
You can see Clayton actually had the hot round on the front, -6. Johnny is shooting -2. So they're the people to try to catch up to. And I've had a little bit of a slow start on the front, and so has Evan. So let's see if we can step it up here in the back, which is not more difficult, but just a little tad more technical, which if you're used to that, you might actually do a little bit better.
For sure. Good point. We start on hole 10, the shortest hole on the back 9, playing over this river, which is out of bounds. It's certainly the aceable hole on the course, but this green has a massive slope. So if you end up cooking it long, the comeback putt is very, very scary. And if you don't quite make it there, well, you have a very long uphill look for your birdie.
Well, Clayton's going to be throwing most likely his Pennywise here. And just getting a kind of a nasty kick, but he's actually going to be safe. You just don't want to land in that river, OB Creek here.
Here's Evan, who puts a little bit more height on it. Saw Clayton's miss on the right and barely tags that tree on the left. And I believe he did fall out of bounds.
He did. He's going to have a very long putt to save his 3. And here's Johnny going for the ace bid with this birdie. Why not? You know, after hole 9, where a lot of us bogeyed, we're really depending on the birdie on this hole.
And though this is a very, very short hole, it's one of the fan favorites on the course. You can see the basket is totally lit up, and it's just framed so nicely. It's hard not to get a little greedy when you get to this tee box. Clayton, he did fall just short of the river, so he was in bounds and gives it what he calls a stabby bid, a little forehand putt, just barely misses.
He did say stabby a few times out there. And what a stabby putt right there.
That is just tremendous. It's not easy to hit that from down there. Great putt by Evan. He's got such a great spin on his putt. It comes out really clean.
And I saw this a lot, actually, from the first round. And I didn't really know who Evan was until the first round. And after seeing some of the putts like this, I could tell that he really liked committing to his putts. And he's not afraid of the comebacks. Meanwhile, Johnny and I are a little bit timid sometimes.
Well, on this green, it almost benefits you to be timid. I mean, Evan was in a place where he could run it very confidently. But whenever you're on this other side of the green, it is a brutal drop-off. So you got to have good touch coming into this basket.
Yeah, so Clayton's up, by 6 strokes on me, and that one hurt. Yeah, I got there up with my logic and try to get up there with my putt with the link. It just wasn't happening. Moving on to hole 11. Let's see if I can at least get this one.
Yeah, one of the ones you just got to shake off, right? On to hole 11. Plays uphill. It's 201 feet, but it plays a bit longer, and this sloping green is kind of a pattern on a couple of these holes in the back 9. It's very difficult. You can play a backhand hyzer that gets very, very tight at the end, or this flex forehand that Clayton's going to show us up the left side.
Somehow there was more birdies on this hole than the previous hole, actually, and it's averaging a lot easier. The distance is just strangely off, especially it doesn't feel 201. This feels like a 260 shot. With the Firebird like Evan, you're going to get up there relatively easy because that's the shortcut.
Yeah, and Evan kind of refers to that disc as his cheat code because it's a monstrously overstable Firebird. And, he executed the flex line perfectly. That is how you draw it up when you get to this hole. You can clip the tree late and be bumped down the hill, but he navigated it perfectly.
I'm going to follow what Johnny did here with my MD3, and I really like this. I just wish I had like 3 more feet. That uphill gets me every time.
Though, I mean, even though you ended a little bit short, you should have a very open uphill putt that you can run confidently.
Yeah.
If you're past this basket, the putt is a whole different animal.
Yeah, and if you know Johnny, he's going to be running this full speed. Look at that. Well, almost got it for us. He got a few of them already on the first round. Let's see if Clayton can get this circle 2 putt on this from the left-hand side.
Oh, just a bit right and high. Though it should be no issue just to tap in for the par.
Yeah, it's good for him to see that he's still playing aggressive. And once again, I didn't bend my knees, but I know the next hole I should have another opportunity for a birdie, which is the key point of Cold Hollow, which I really love, is that almost every hole is birdieable. It's just the matter of, are you going to be able to do it? That's what is so fun and attackable. I mean, if you've seen the coverage from the Skins match, check out what Greg Barsby does here.
Oh, an absolutely unreal round, shooting course record with a bogey. A different level of play for sure. Here's hole 12. A massive par 4 snaking down this meadow. Curtis told me that the first time he ever walked this property, he knew no matter what, he had to play to this meadow so he could have his dream par 4. Downhill all the way. Maybe the biggest arms in the game could get there, but this hole often has a really sneaky late headwind once you kind of get around this initial bend. So while it looks like it should just be a stock driver shot, some interesting things often happen on it.
Yeah, this is actually playing as like the 4th easiest hole. And for lead card, you're going to most likely see a few birdies here. Here's what Evan's going to start us off with, a beautiful rip with the Wraith. He gets a lot of distance, some sneaky power out there.
Absolutely, and he's a master of starting his distance drivers over on the perfect angle to get that full flight. Clayton's actually disking down a little bit. He ends up just going with his old tie-dye T-bird. It gets clipped by that branch, but it ends up in the absolute center. And really, that's the key on this hole. You can try and bite off more distance, but if you're even a little bit to the left or to the right, it makes the slope of the green more technical. Looks like Johnny throws it a little high, gets to the left side.
Oh, man, I love this hole. I'm going to be ripping on my DDX. Every time I come here, I just want to pull it as fast as I can to the right side, let it ride, and then hook up. I just didn't get it on this shot, but I am going to be mostly safe on the left side.
And you made a good adjustment there. A lot of people try and throw this shot too high, but the downhill is deceptive. You can pipe it on a low line and still get massive distance.
Mm-hmm. And Clayton's going to have some work to do with this probably 350-foot up shot.
Yeah, he ends up throwing the same disc for his second shot that he threw off the tee, which I'm sure if we asked him would not be his plan, but if you get clipped down, you got to adjust.
When Matt Bell was watching footage from here, the Skins match, he said this is one of the most beautiful fairways and luscious green that he's ever seen on a course.
That's high praise coming from Matt. I love that.
Yeah, this is a spectacular hole, and I can see why you would want to build around this particular hole. It's a signature hole. It's definitely one of the most fun. You can attack it with anything on your bag.
It also provides something that a lot of holes in Vermont don't have. I mean, we don't have a lot of, mowed lawn fairway holes. I mean, you get it at Fox Run and a handful of other courses, but it feels like a treat when you're used to scrambling through the woods in northern Vermont. Yeah,
when it's a treat, you kind of want to do better on it, and you want to. So, yeah, I'm just going to be laying up for par. I'm fine with that. And you can see that it averaged 3.64. So people are going to make some moves on this. This is a separator.
This is Johnny, I believe, for his birdie bid.
Yep, he got up there. I think he was laying up. I don't think he wanted any part of that.
Yeah, this green, I mean, it looks so open, but it does have serious rollaway potential. I mean, we talk about how much we love playing on a nice fairway like this, but if it catches an edge, there's very little to stop it. And I've seen some absolutely freaky rolls on this green. So
Evan's kind of heating up. He made a banger to save par on 10. He got 11. He got 12. He kind of needed that if he wanted to continue and catch up with Clayton and Johnny Betts here.
Here's a little razzing from Johnny. You know that he's in his element when he's starting to talk.
He talks a lot, but I love it. We have a good time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Here's hole 13. absolute monster. Incredibly narrow, throwing hard uphill, getting up over this rock that we're about to fly over with the stone wall on top is nearly a miracle. You don't see it often. And also, the fairway seems to only get narrower as it goes up. That pinch point that now we're getting a good view of looking back down is very difficult to hit with proper height.
It's good to have a hole like this, though, like late in the round, because it keeps you in check, right? You know, we all know it's one of the most difficult holes. I believe it averaged like 3.3, and there's only one birdie out there. Let's see who can get it. Let's see if I'm throwing my essence here. I get a good pull on it, but it's really tight. To get up there is just, like you said, almost a miracle sometimes.
And it looked like Evan actually had a move on it that looked like it could have gone all the way. Ended up getting a little bit of a clip, but even getting it as a possibility to get up on there can be elusive. So a couple of really, really good attempts for sure, though.
Mm-hmm. And this is probably one of the most guarded greens. I mean, it's very hard to penetrate if you're kind of where I am and where Johnny's going to be.
Yeah, that's a really, really great point. If you do end up hitting something, the scramble is about as tough as it gets on this course as well. So Curtis really threw the kitchen sink at us with hole 13. That being said, when you play it cleanly, there's no better feeling on this course.
Oh, absolutely. And I think this is the only hole that you really feel like you can't scramble much.
Good touch approaches there just to keep it close. It's certainly not a super dangerous green, but there's something about it because of the pressure of how this hole scores. And unless you're inside 20, you feel like you really still got work to do.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like between 12 and 13, they generally usually offset each other, right? You usually get the birdie on 12, and then 13 kind of you take it right back, and that's the theme, and that's fine because then you got 14 and 15 and 16 to sort of get back out there.
That's a really, really good call, and I hadn't actually thought about it that way. Yeah, the opening of the back nine is maybe a little bit more forgiving, but then you have this speed check for sure.
Mm-hmm. Evan, good.
Great putt.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, he's gonna be taking a bogey with us. Actually, was that for par? That might have been for par.
I believe that was for par because his drive made it a long way up there. What we're now facing is the left side.
Yeah, so he was only his upshot was that. Okay, got it. So hole 14. What are your thoughts on this one? This one's usually easy riding, right, for you being a four-hander.
Yeah, it's this hole is, I'll put it this way, it doesn't make you sweat until the final 20% of it. This green is perched up on this rock, so if you end up overcooking your drive even a little bit, or even if you just don't execute a good layup, you can have some brutal numbers show up on this hole. I've also seen players just putting, crisscrossing up on top of that green. So if you can get a good angle in, you usually can chip up for an easy 3, but the nightmare scenario is to cook it long.
I like Evan's approach there. He was just a bit long there. And Clayton's going to be – what is he going to be throwing here? I believe this might be his –
I think it's actually his old zone that he throws pretty frequently that's relatively straight, and then it usually sticks on whatever angle he puts it on. That shape out of the hand looked great.
He almost got an ace there. And if you remember from last year, like you were saying, this green is so dangerous. Clayton suffered like a 6 or a 7 because of that green, and I'm just going to be taking the backhand. If I'm not close enough to get the birdie, I just lay up for 3 usually on this one.
Looks like Johnny got cut down partway down the fairway, but excellent touch on that approach shot. You really need the disc to put the brakes on the minute it lands on the screen.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not really too happy about that one. I'm going to have a lot of work to do to save my par. And you're right. Johnny owns the course, Black Falls, shout out. And I think that's where he's learned so much touch over the years. You got to have it playing those New England slanted greens here.
Clayton almost throws it in from down below, which would have been, nearly unheard of, but ends up just settling. He'll have an easy tap in for 3.
He's kind of slowed down. Let's see if Evan can kind of. Oh, no. Ooh, okay. Wow.
A little foreshadowing with our whole breakdown there.
Yeah. And yeah,
Whew.
I'm happy about that. Like I said, that was a big tester, and I could have easily suffered my second bogey in a row. But yet I'm okay with that par. This had 9 birdies, and the previous hole only had 1 birdie. Shout out to James Kieran.
I also noticed on your putt, you did a kind of a veteran play there. You putted slightly more nose down than I think you have in other parts of the round. So, keeping it so that if you do miss, you're hitting cage, you're not going to airball.
Yep, and like Evan, you just want to get your par and move on this one. I'm scared of this green, but like you said, that's the only danger we really have on that hole. Meanwhile, this hole, there's so much danger everywhere. It's diabolical. It's 666 feet. Tell us more about it.
So this is certainly not the longest par 5 you'll ever see, but it is, utterly treacherous. It's narrow. The woods, as you can see, are not very old growth. So the trees are all small, which give you these wild kicks to either side of the fairway. There is a lane, and in this part of the fairway, there are actually 2 lanes, but they're very, very narrow. And then the final tricky bit to throw in is the footing on this hole is really, really tough. They've done a lot of great work. You can see some of the stonework and the drainage that they've dug in, which has made a huge change. But it's very rare that you can take a full run up or be given exactly the landing zone that you want.
Mm-hmm. And Evan, we saw a really good pull from the first round, being on his card, but he just does not get around that, and he's going to have a lot of work to do just to save his par. Let's see if Clayton can get a good drive. This is kind of textbook for him. And that was a really good shot, kind of a fortunate kick too.
May have ended up a little bit inside. This definitely favors a forehand throw off the tee, and you don't have to get crazy distance on it. It's really a placement shot.
Mm-hmm. Johnny's going to be taking his comment. Yeah, I love what he did there. And, that just shows how veteran he is. He's not going to be throwing his, big driver, and he could even take a putter. Like, I'm actually going to be taking a putter because I've learned this hole just needs to get around that corner and in the right landing spot. It's all about the landing spot. And shout out to them for putting on wood chips because it really needed it after this summer has been so wet and the fall has been just as wet.
Yeah, that's a really, really good call. And I think a lot of people kind of sleep on the fact that slower discs are probably your friend on this hole. I mean, this big left to right that starts, after that, you're essentially piping dead straight. And you really don't have to bite off a lot of distance on those subsequent throws, because if you're throwing something fast and you end up clipping something, it's serious danger.
Yeah, and I think the second shot is more meaningful, and that's where you're going to get a lot of the distance. The second shot, as you can see, Clayton is going to be putting a lot of move on it. Just gets another favorable tap, though. He's getting some distance taps. That's what I call those.
Yeah, and he also tapped to the left-hand side, which I think has some better. If you don't hit your line perfectly on this hole, ending up on the left, I think, is better than ending up on the right, which gets really, really squirrely.
I love this par 5. It allows me to actually pull out, a Zen or an Essence like I did there on that second shot. And you can put moves on it. I mean, watch Johnny.
Just a little bit low, but even so, he's in a fine spot to then be able to attack for birdie.
Shout out to Skylar McDonald for doing the footage for us while I was playing. Last year I had to do the footage, so I didn't get the opportunity to play. So this was a lot of fun for me. Especially being able to watch and be part of it and get the drones. I mean, this is just a great community. I love the Vermont disc golf community.
Yeah, and Cold Hollow definitely brings it out better than essentially anywhere. Look at this shot from Johnny. This is just so good. Oh, my Lord.
Dream shot for Johnny down the hallway here. That's what I was talking about earlier with like Black Falls having that in your backyard. Some of these shots are kind of routine for him, just touchy mid-range and whatever it might need.
Here comes another incredible shot from Clayton as well. He had to just get under that ceiling, turning right to left the whole time. Puts it to nearly drop-in range from being out of position. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, I love this shot. I mean, he is so well known for his forehands, but he has one of the best any flex forehands I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
You guys are carving it up.
Now let's see. You made it up. Oh, so you still have a little bit of distance left, but yours actually also kicked forward.
Yeah, so I might as well throw with the forehand because everybody else is at this moment. Not my favorite. But I really didn't have much else. I mean, you can see Curtis kind of left a few trees on there on purpose because he wanted to make it tough, right? He wanted to be a separator, which I really respect.
Yeah, and though it is only, only 666 feet, we had some touring pros come out to this, and they did not get even a look at the eagle. So if any of you are thinking, oh, just let me get to that hole, pump the brakes.
Yeah. I mean, eagles, I was just looking at the stats. There was no eagles, but there were 9 birdies. So let's see if one of us can be part of that.
Oh, just barely long from Evan, though a good assertive putt to try and mop it up.
Evan's kind of struggling on this hole. He had a sort of a hot start, I feel like, in the back, and then he's kind of slowed down on this hole.
So I guess I was mistaken with Clayton's shot. I thought I was confusing it, but he still gets the edge of circle 1 there, so he had a look for the putt. Can't quite convert it.
Yeah, he had a birdie look, and I'm so happy. Woo, that is a par save of the year for me. That was not easy. I mean, I almost circled 2. Couldn't really tell. It might have even been, but shout out to the link and Discmania because that one felt really good.
I mean, talk about dead center. It would take a strong headwind for that to bounce out. Perfect putt, man.
Well, that's why I love the woods. Don't tell anybody.
And Johnny does it as well. An incredible birdie.
He gets the birdie, though. I was just for par. So Johnny making the move, the only move from this group. Shout out to Andrew, Fred, Longchamp, Jacob Moore, Matt Stogard, and Shane Seals and Whit Stevenson for getting the other birdies. This is a really tough hole.
Yeah, it takes a good drive and then 2 really excellent, pretty touchy shots to get that look at the birdie. Well done. Hole 16, uphill again. As you noticed, there's a lot of elevation changes on this course, which is just a great feature for any disc golf course. 230 feet, but plays a bit longer for sure, and it's very, very narrow in the start, and then you can start to wander a little bit more left to right. Traditionally a forehand hole, but Johnny wants no part of that, throwing a perfect comet shot up that definitely paves straight. He'll have a good look for a putt.
Yeah, I'm impressed by that shot. That was really, really straight. This hole is tight, and we're in the deep part of the woods here, almost getting back to the final stretch. Clayton is still not giving up.
And it looks like he got a tree hit, but then it just carried and continued to fade out. So he should also still have a putt for birdie.
Mm-hmm. And at this moment, we have to mention and shout out Jacob Moore because he is playing plus or minus 10 at this moment. So he's very close to what Clayton is shooting. So this could become a very close situation here. I get one of the best throws I've ever had on this hole. I'm very happy where that landed. Shout out to the Doombird 4 there.
Incredible overhand, yeah, which is actually a great shape for this hole if you have the throw, but of course most players don't, let's be honest.
Yeah, I don't have a strong forehand. I'm working on it. You saw the whole previous, and but Evan is a strong forehander. You can see he's going to be relying on his Firebird here and getting a really, really awesome birdie opportunity here.
And back to the Jacob Moore storyline, as we saw on the Pro Tour, this is kind of the year of the chase card contenders, so we'll see if he can run these guys down.
Really has been. That's exciting to see and hear about because it just shows you that people are just getting better. Everyone's just getting better.
Look at that putt from Clayton. He's outside circle 1.
Wow,
and
that was huge.
Yeah, and it's more uphill than it looks from this angle, so really, really outstanding.
Yeah, so Jacob's at 10. He's at 12. He's got 2 strokes. So he's got to feel really good. You see the fist bump. You don't see a lot of emotion from Clayton, and that was a great putt with his Pennywise.
You're absolutely right. He's definitely a very very level-headed, calm player, but once the fire starts to go, he's tough to stop. And Evan also cashing it. That was just on a rope.
Yeah, that was a very meaningful birdie for him because he just suffered a double bogey the hole before. and has been slowed down a little bit. So he's hopefully getting back on the birdie streak, and I'm gonna try to follow suit because I'm just trying to get cash at this point, right? I can't keep up with Clayton or anything, but this is meaningful. Putts down the stretch are usually worth a couple $100 during these B tiers.
It's true, and also it's kind of how it's how you leave the tournament feeling, right? If you close out strong, it changes everything. All right, hole 15, a very, very technical downhill par 3, narrow, one of the longer par 3s for sure. Favors a forehand or a very slow drifting backhand. There's also the main feature of this hole is in the early phase, there's a birch tree in the center of the fairway. And it's certainly not large, but it's like a magnet or something, because I've seen more players hit this tree than probably any tree on the course.
It's a signature tree, though. If you took it out, it'd be a little too easy. And I know some people hate it. I love it. I think it's what makes this hole. I love 390-foot downhill holes that you got to have a little bit of a touch shot. You can see here with the essence that I'm going to be driving the left to right, and I'm going to be hoping for a little bit of fade. And shout out to Skylar McDonald for getting this angle. This was a phenomenal shot with his angle here.
It's an incredible drive as well. I mean, committed to the slight nose down, and it gets that perfect bump at the end that carries you to, I mean, probably just pin high. Certainly on the green, which getting on the green on this hole is, it's few and far between.
It averaged 3.33, so it's actually the second hardest hole of the day. I was very pumped to get into Circle 2 for that.
Johnny has an early release there, carries all the way to the other side after the tree hit, and then he's a blessed man, ends up dead center.
He's in the center, which is, like you said, that's very favorable. You can see where Clayton actually landed. He's going to have so much work to do to get a 3 look here. Yeah, he wasn't able to get up there.
Another early tree hit for Clayton. He is back towards the center of the fairway, but at this point, he's hoping to save 4 to hopefully keep a 1-stroke lead going into 18.
Yeah, that shot. Whoa. I think that was his entropy. That was phenomenal. And he said that was one of his best shots of the day. I agree.
Yeah, I feel like the camera may not have done justice to how long and narrow that lane he just went down. He made it look easy, but it was anything but.
So we missed Johnny's upshot, and he's going to be up there with us right here. But here's my 2 look, baby. Let's go. That's 2 in a row. I am feeling pumped. And again, all about that cash at this moment. I can't get the win, so I'm just trying to get a few more putts.
This is a really good hole to get. It's, to execute this drive is so satisfying, but of course, it's all meaningless if you miss the birdie putt. But excellent putt from you.
An excellent putt by Johnny. What a scramble. What a 3 save. This hole, like we said, averaged 3.3 and only 3 birdies. One of the Abel German and Alex Ferguson. So shout out to them for getting the other 2.
And those 2 are 2 of the best players in Vermont. So you're in good company getting that deuce.
Oh, I appreciate that. Good company with this hole, too. One of my favorites. Let's go.
All right. Hole 18, incredible par 4 with some changed OB for this year and a little bit of cutting that you can see to the left of that birch tree. It's not the longest par 4, that's for sure, but because of that gap you have to hit, it does get a bit sneaky. There is an OB river as well that you are crossing. So if you go for the air shot to get over, really got to commit to the distance. Some players prefer to just lay it up and then have a pretty routine shot across for birdie. You make it across. That was a great drive.
I got a little lucky, I'll be honest. I got a little bit of love tap, kind of what Clayton's been getting, but this whole average actually 3.52, one of the easiest of the day. I'm so surprised by that because it just must be like it must be the fact that it's round 2 and you're just going for it, right? Like this is do or die birdie, and you can also get the birdie from laying up. We heard about Johnny getting the eagle from a throw in, so that's why he just did what you just saw there. And he's going to try.
Yeah, the day before he threw in his comment from like 250 feet on an incredible turnover line. Clayton, I think, was going to get across, but ends up. It looks like it leaked just a little bit short. I played this hole with a forehand for years and have since switched to the backhand simply to try and get more distance. And we'll see where Clayton ended up, but this is definitely the deciding throws for his tournament.
See if he can pull the eagle again. Clayton actually, unfortunately, does go OB. That slopey fairway landed him in the OB. I thought he was going to be short. Nice bid there. And
overturned slightly, but I mean, his distance looked about perfect. He should have a good time to putt.
you can
This
see
is Clayton throwing his third, and he's trying to ring it up. And I was sitting in the gallery over there. That was within a few feet of going in, which would have been absolutely electrifying.
I was really thrilled to see that he was going for it. I mean, he wanted the win. At this point, Jacob Moore is 11 down. He did get the final birdie. I almost throw it in too. That's just the theme here. Why not, right? You got the gallery there.
Whoa!
Evan did it the best there.
Thanks.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, dude. Great bid there.
You were talking about how this hole was scoring easier. I mean, I think it probably is because the final 200 feet are wide open and uphill, so it really encourages you to put a move on it. Clayton can't convert his putt.
Wow.
I know he's disappointed.
Okay, so we just talked about Jacob Moore was 11 down, and he's 11 down, but that putt, because he went OB, that was actually for bogey. So Clayton, unfortunately, not going to push the playoff here, all because of that OB. And I do want to go back to that on hole 18. Last year, the OB was the creek. This year, that OB creeped up, 10 feet, 15 feet?
At least.
That layup becomes so much more dangerous. And unless you did what Johnny did and you really, really lay up with a putter or something, there's potential, or it's pushing you to actually go for the big shot. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. Another one of the great OB course changes they put in at Cold Hollow this year, which it's interesting. A lot of them didn't necessarily change how people would approach the hole, but the margin for error got a lot more punishing. So great changes from Curtis.
Yeah, and shout out to Jacob Moore. He was in the mix last year. This year he takes it down. It's his third win of his career, and a big one. I love that trophy by Disc Golf Vermont Tour. And yeah, he just played really well. I mean, -11, we said -12 will probably do it here.
Yeah, Jacob's an incredible player. I've been playing with him since the first year I was on Disc Golf Vermont Tour back when we were in AM1 together. He's got every aspect of the game, but I got to shout out, by far his greatest strength is that he has the best mental game of any player I've ever played with. Totally unflappable. He doesn't have high highs or low lows. He's a joy to play with and a really positive person to have on the card. So good for you, Jacob. You did great, man.
Yeah, and thanks again, Angus, for being here. And thanks again, Curtis and Jade. You guys rock. I love Cold Hollows. We'll be back next year. I believe next year it's September 27th and the 28th. So make sure you stay tuned in Disc Golf Scene. And any last words here, Angus?
Well, just thank you, man, for inviting me to the commentary. I love doing this stuff with you, and thank you, Graves Media Team. You guys are absolutely slaying it around New England, and look forward to seeing what you guys do in the future. Keep growing, man.